Well, good evening, my friendly acquaintance. How are you? Just want to share a couple things with you real quick. And this is before tonight's show, which I'm going to be doing again with Jared Trueheart. So you want to tune in at about 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time as I talk with Jared about how to write. We've talked about how to speak. I've talked about that. You've seen some of my work on Speak Well, Earn More. And we're going to talk to Jared about writing well, and for those that have fear about writing. But that'll be tonight, and that's going to be live. But what I want to talk about now is something that happened last night, and that was I got an email from the Dr. Phil show from the senior producer there. She sent me an email and said that they wanted to invite me out, and this person is legit. Obviously, when you get all kinds of offers, you let your fingers do the walking, so to speak. And she is legit the producer of the Dr. Phil show. And asked me to be on the show on Tuesday the 15th. Tuesday the 15th. They would fly me from Philadelphia to Los Angeles, which is one hell of a flight going to the West Coast. I'd have to take off from work and just pretty much be unproductive and whatever. One of the issues is apparently they want to talk about the evolving role of men in society. And they want me to be on the show. Now, what do I know about that? I don't know. Maybe somebody mentioned me. Maybe my YouTube channel was of interest. Maybe I said something controversial at one time, which sometimes I do say things that are controversial. And my answer was, no, I can't because of my work situation. But thank you. Thank you for thinking of me. And I suggested another person that might be interested in that. So I never really close the door. I'm the kind of guy that says, I can't, but I can find someone who can. Or, sorry, I can't do it on that date, but I can make some other suggestions for you. And that way you always help people's professional lives be a little bit easier. But one thing I know to be true about being on a show, such as like the Dr. Phil show, is that there's sensationalism. Television is a funny thing. When it comes to shows like that, you might remember Matt Walsh on there. Like, what is a woman? What is a man? That kind of answering those kind of questions. It was very controversial. You might remember people like Roosh being on the Dr. Oz show, where he just got hammered pretty bad. You don't get invited on shows like that because of all your words of wisdom. You get invited on shows like that because somewhere you've been known to say something controversial. Okay, whatever. But here's what I know. Many of you know that I was a commercial actor and model for many years. I like to say it was the 5 brokest years of my life, but I did a lot of work over the years. Over a period of minimum 30 years, I'd say 30 to 35 years, I have been on stage or in front of the camera or behind the microphone somewhere doing commercials, hosting shows, flying all over the country, doing voiceover work, narrating things, doing web voiceovers, TV voiceovers. Some of you have seen some of my commercials. You've seen me in some ads. And it's a hard way to make a living. It's a hard way to replace income. It really is. You wish and hope and you keep your fingers crossed, and that's not my strategy, is wishing and hoping and crossing my fingers. I don't do that. But one thing I've always thought to myself and proven time and time again, never talk to the media. And these days, all television is the media. All television is a courtroom waiting to deliver a verdict. And the jury is the general audience, not only the television studio audience, but the national audience. And I suggested a person or two, one person in particular, and then if that doesn't work out, I will be happy to refer some other people who could competently discuss the issue or participate in the issue. One of the reasons why I'm not doing it, this is for me, is I just don't talk to the media. I just don't do it. And I have a few reasons why I don't. I just want to share those with you. Number one, I like to say only have media appearances that I initiate through press releases. That is it. If somebody finds me and asks me to be on a national and international show, I don't want to do it. Because as they say in the horror movies, get out, it's a trap, it's a trap. And some people have actually commented and have said that. But unless I initiate it through a press release, I really don't want to do it. I think there's almost always a downside and a setup. And there's a couple reasons. I mean, I still have two employers. I still have, my virtual income for my online work, and I still have two part-time employers. When YouTube demonetized most of my stuff, I had to actually go and get a job, a part-time job somewhere. And it still didn't replace everything that I was making, but nevertheless, I got the job, and I'm thankful for it. I have an attitude of gratitude. But all that being said, I still have a couple employers. And when you are put on a show that is controversial, it can be risky. I guess that would be the word, risky. Because I know I have some opinions that are controversial, and you can get canceled just for having opinions these days. And we've seen it happen with a lot of people recently, and cancel culture is alive and well, and it ain't going anywhere. So only make appearances that I initiate through press releases. Number two, I do that so I can control the narrative. I don't want to be the control group. I don't want to be the guinea pig. I don't want to be the villain. I'm not invited on for my opinion about the evolving role of men. I'm invited on because I have an extreme position, or what many in society might consider to be extreme. For many people, it's not extreme. And I would say for the majority, it's not, but for pop culture, it is. So I want to control the narrative. Number three, never agree to something where you don't know who the opposition is. I could be sitting there with Dr. Phil on stage, and then who are they going to bring out to oppose me? These aren't happy gatherings. It's always drama. There's always a victim and a villain, a victor and a villain. And if you don't know what role you're going to be playing or representing, I don't think it's a good idea. That's just my opinion about that, but I never agree to something where I don't know who the opposition is. Never. Never, never, never. Number four, TV today is all about controversy, and it's agenda driven. And I don't want to participate in that. I'm not interested in that kind of controversy. That's one of the reasons why I'm not interested in manosphere stuff. Do I like the red pill stuff? Yeah, absolutely. Do I like manosphere stuff? Not much, no. Does it have a role in society? I think it really did at one time. I think it gets a bad rap. I understand how it's important, but I also understand how some people can look at bad representatives of it and come to some crazy conclusions, and I just don't want to go there. I'm not interested in that. And it's not because, I'm like a family man and all this kind of stuff, which I'm not. I'm a single, divorced guy making my way through life and enjoying life and having a nice life, and I want to keep it that way. So TV today is full of controversy and agenda driven. I've had enough controversy. I've had enough drama in my life. I'm not interested in any more. Number five, I never participate in things controversial, and I made that decision in the past couple of years, unless I am the one who strategically organizes it. Number six, the media, and you got to realize anything on television is considered media. You don't have to be a reporter or a journalist. All you got to do is be have a show and then invite guests on. And for me to be a guest on a show that that has once, I guess, shows like Dr. Phil were once what I call honorable. The guy actually had a decent show. Everything just, entropy just takes everything down to Jerry Springer and Maury Povich level. And, if it bleeds, it leads. I'm not interested in that. So I don't want to participate in anything controversial unless I strategically organize it. The media is not your friend. Everything that you see is manufactured stories, and they're not telling the truth, and they don't represent the majority of America. Number 7, the media is like the Miranda warning. You have the right to remain silent, and everything that you say, can or will be used against you in a court of law. But everything you say can be used against you in the court of public opinion. So when I look at people like Roman McClay, the Denver shooter that killed 5 or 6 people and then got himself killed in a shootout in Denver. The guy was making his way through the manosphere. I never met him. I never read his book, but I know a lot of people who did meet him and thought he was okay and read his book and liked his book. And okay, but nobody ever would have predicted that, I don't think. I do consider myself kind of like an amateur profiler. And I guess if I knew more about the guy, I might have seen some warning signs. But when you look at that, he's a good example. So everything can be used against you in a court of law. And the people, or in public opinion, and everyone I know who had anything to do with Roman McClay, anything at all, ended up being guilty by association. So if I go on a national show as part of Manosphere, if there's just like one whack job that has said extreme things, I'm guilty by association. So I like the idea of just distancing myself and being my own man. So every TV show and everything in the media is like the Miranda warning. Everything can be used against you. Number 8, every story on TV or radio has a victim and a villain. I said that. And I have not been told what role I'm going to play or what I'm going to be. Am I going to be the bad guy or the good guy? I don't know. And this is no hit against the producer at all. I'm still thankful that you reached out to me, and if I can be of service in referring anyone, then great. Number 9, if it's not controversial, it's not chosen for coverage. Why? Because one of the biggest publicity phrases is, if it bleeds, it leads. So it has to be controversial. They're really not going to be talking about the evolving role of men. They're going to be talking about my opinion and how it's outdated and how dare I say this or that or think this. It's actually what we think now. It's not just what we say, it's what we think. Number 10, it's hard to stay on message if they throw you a curveball. If you're not given a list of questions, and the only thing they told me was the evolving role of men. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. And even though I can handle myself in improvised situations, and there's been times where I've been asked to stand up and give an impromptu speech or a toast or something like that. I can do that. That's no problem. But on national television, you have no control, and they edit the hell out of these things to either favor, the victim, the victor, or make somebody a villain. Number 11, never underestimate how much they know about you and who you have hung out with, or if they've seen a picture of you with somebody, and somehow make that association. That's very difficult to, when you have to explain yourself and you have to make excuses for maybe who you've had on your podcast, or you were on someone's podcast, or you're standing on a certain stage giving a speech, and then the speaker after you was, controversial, then somehow you're guilty by association. Number 12, when the talking is done, I get to control nothing. There's no such thing as a rebuttal. No such thing as a rebuttal. It's all one and done. So you have to view media as a courtroom, but you have no rebuttal. And 13, everything can be misconstrued and distorted. And that's why I declined going on the Dr. Phil show, because I don't want to be part of a controversy or drama or anything like that. I have a nice life and I want to keep it that way. And I enjoy talking to you. And here's my controversy and drama right here. This is my life, sitting before you, sharing some things and asking you questions and teaching you things over the years. That's what I'm about. I'm not interested in drama. I'm not interested in controversy. I'm not interested in binary thinking, pitting one person against another, and all this kind of stuff. You get to a certain age and a certain maturity level where you just, you want a peaceful life. You want a quiet life. And that's where I'm at. I don't want to. If Let me put it this way, I remember, because I was thinking of moving down to where my parents live, and someone said to me, like, "Why would you want to move down there? There's nothing going on there." And I'm like, exactly, exactly. If I want action, I go to where the action is, and then I go home after. So that's my reason. So I posted that on various social media sites today that I declined that offer, and I still don't know how they found me. Still don't know. But that's my answer. I thought I would let you know. Some people said, "You should do it, George. You should do it." And not interested. You are my audience, and I'd rather teach you and stir you to action rather than go in front of the country